Today marked day 3 of the ranked choice tabulation process for Maine's 2nd congressional district race as we wait to see who will represent Mainers in the U.S. House of Representatives. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones.
And I'm Devin Dagnall. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard has been following the process and has the latest.
The count continues in the race for Maine's 2nd congressional district, but substantial progress has been made in the first step of this process.
We always go slow to go smooth to go fast.
Secretary of State Shenna Bello says a lot of work has been done over the past few days. On Thursday, they finished scanning ballots from the towns without a tabulator and started the long process of reconciliation, or making sure with the campaigns the counts match those reported on Election Day, and any ballots that could not be scanned are accurately reported. Bello says this is the closest race they have ever seen in the history of ranked choice voting.
I don't think we've ever seen this before, where your two leading candidates are so close, less than 1% difference between the two frontrunners.
She adds there has not been any major issues or inconsistencies so far.
We are not seeing major discrepancies between what was reported to the Office of Secretary of State in that window of official reporting by the towns to us.
With the process being methodical and time-consuming, Bello says there's more work to be done to ensure every vote counts and every vote gets counted.
Based on my experience in 2022, when we did this in 3.5 days, we're going to have at least another half day. So probably we'll be doing this tomorrow, unless somehow that reconciliation speeds right up.
The latest here is that they have finished the reconciliation process for 7 of the 11 Maine counties in Maine's 2nd congressional district. Once that reconciliation process is complete, retabulation of those votes will only take a matter of seconds. In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Maine failed to meet its requirement for handling child abuse and neglect reports 94% of the time. That is according to a federal audit. The audit was conducted by U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of the Inspector General. The audit reviewed 100 cases between the fall of 2021 and 2022 and found Maine failed to meet at least one requirement in nearly all of their responses to child abuse and neglect, including failure to complete safety assessments and investigations within prescribed timelines, with some hundreds of days late. The report also identified Maine as being among the top 5 states of concern for child abuse and neglect. Bobby Johnson, the director of the Office of Child and Family Services, says a lot of improvements have been made since the investigation.
We appreciate the ability to learn about ways that our system is successful in supporting families and ways that we can improve it, and that through that process and in partnership with others that we really work to create a system that benefits the people that we serve.
Director Johnson adds, since she took over as the director of the Office of Child and Family Services this year, she has been touring DHHS facilities across the state and focusing on improving their practices and policies.
A person arrested in Belfast is facing federal drug trafficking charges. Police Chief Robert Cormier says Belfast officers and DEA agents stopped 38-year-old Alexander Wilson of Belfast at about 12:45 p.m. in the area of 91 Searsport Avenue on Wednesday. 25-year-old Brittany Saucier was a passenger in the vehicle. She was arrested on a warrant for failure to appear and violation of bail conditions. Chief Cormier says the traffic stop and arrests were part of a larger joint federal, state, and local investigation into trafficking of fentanyl and methamphetamine into Maine and New Hampshire.
Meanwhile, 2 people wanted on federal fugitive warrants were arrested in Hudson today after authorities executed a search warrant. This was the scene along Route 222 in Hudson earlier today. The Penobscot County Sheriff's Office says they used, quote, an appropriate level of resources to prevent risk to the public while making the arrests. 2 people were taken into custody on federal fugitive warrants, including 30-year-old Lauren Sabatis of Calais and 25-year-old Wilkie Gabriel Reyes Reynoso of Nashua, New Hampshire. 46-year-old Michael Boyington of Hudson was also arrested and charged with drug trafficking and probation violation.
In other news, Senator Angus King is working with a bipartisan team of lawmakers to improve cybersecurity regulations across the federal government. According to the senator's office, the Streamlining Federal Cybersecurity Regulations Act would, quote, address the challenges associated with the current patchwork of inconsistent cybersecurity policies between agencies. The law would do this by establishing an interagency committee. The act would also require the development of a new cybersecurity framework across all government agencies, including independent regulatory agencies. The senator's office says it is estimated cybersecurity teams currently spend 40 to 70% of their time on compliance work rather than improvement to their security.
On Thursday night, the owner of 3 local dams held a meeting for the purpose of receiving public feedback after announcing their intent to abandon ownership of those dams earlier this year. Our Doug Banks has the story.
It's been approximately 10 years since American Metal and Iron and its subsidiary Bucksport Mill took ownership of the former Verso paper mill and 3 local dams, the Toddy, Alamoosic, and Silver Lake dams. It's also been since July that leaders filed a petition to the Maine Department of Environmental Protection, wishing to abandon ownership of the dams that, according to Bucksport's town manager, has caused headaches for several hundred property owners, many of whom were in attendance Thursday night for a public meeting that Bucksport Mill is obligated to do during their process of divesting ownership. According to their presentation, since acquiring ownership, they've run the dams in compliance with MEMA, but have had no luck in finding a viable buyer. Knowing beforehand Bucksport Mill's project manager David Bryant would not be answering questions from the public, those who did speak voiced concerns over the lack of transparency from ownership, potential hazards to both wildlife, and the numerous properties encompassing the dams.
I'd like to know what is the parameters that are used for value to the public.
Title 38 requires that a dam owner act in good faith in seeking a potential new owner. At a minimum, good faith would need to include accurate and timely responses to requests for information. And thus far, there have been none.
Who will be responsible for the economic impact?
For those not in attendance but would still like to ask questions on the matter, visit bucksportmillanswers.com. And on that website, officials will answer those questions along with the ones that were asked during Thursday night's public meeting. And for more information on that, visit our website, foxbangor.com. In Bucksport, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Wonderful clear skies out there today.
Yeah, and clear night too. It's always so nice to look up and be able to see all the stars. You know, the wind died down, thankfully, so it's a little more pleasant to be outside.
No more wind, still feeling pretty cold out there though.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, for sure. We're starting to feel those winter temperatures, dare I say,
Sneaking up on us.
especially in the overnight. So let's go ahead and turn things over for a first look at our forecast.
All right, thank you very much. Your first weather is brought to you by Old Town Redemption, offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Let's talk weather, and let's start here. This is a winter weather advisory for most locations kicking in tonight through about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning for a wintry mix of precipitation on the way, which includes some rain, some freezing rain, sleet, and a little bit of snow. So it could be messy for a couple hours tomorrow. This will not be a big deal, but just know a little ice goes a long way, and that is coming across the area for tomorrow morning. High temperatures today, 43 here in Bangor, 41 Millinocket, so above freezing, but back below freezing tonight. Meanwhile, 2 systems are on the way. We have this system over here coming from this direction. That one is coming our direction as well, and overall, we are going to have a wintry mix tomorrow morning that could give us some icy spots across the region. Our forecast then tonight, though, is increasing clouds out there with some snow before sunrise tomorrow morning. Your full forecast is coming up.
Alrighty, Jeff, thank you. And still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, our Alex Schley met with Dr. Gerald Hurdle to learn more about a new skin cancer treatment.
And our Grace Blanchard followed up with local advocates and city officials to talk about the encampment closure plans. Those stories and more local news when we return.
Central Maine Barns and Sheds, quality products built right here in Newport with a strong attention to detail. We have an incredible selection of pre-made options and would be more than happy to custom build a unit specifically for you. Central Maine Barns and Sheds has financing options available, including a rent-to-own program. We provide free delivery and setup within a 30-mile radius of any of our locations. Check out our full inventory at centralmainbarns.com. or call for more information. 368-6177.
Does your vehicle need a little more work? Have an odd sound coming from somewhere? Bring it over to Jackson's Automotive in Old Town. We have the best technicians and offer a fair price. We also accept all aftermarket protection plans. Now, if you're unable to drive your vehicle to us, we can help you get it here. Also, if you'd like to protect your vehicle for years to come, we offer Wool Wax undercarriage protection. We're located at 546 Main Street in Old Town. Give us a call at 827-2676.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes and More has a team of experts trained in Podorthics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or the hard-to-fit foot. Discover the latest in functional and fashionable footwear for men and women from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Merrell, and Ariat. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit-and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
Find the perfect SUV for holiday adventures at Quirk locations statewide. Subaru Crosstrek will take you over the river and through the woods on your family road trip. Save over $3,400. Take on tailgating season with a sporty Hyundai Tucson, lease for $299 per month. The Jeep Compass Limited has ample space for your holiday packages, lease for $379 per month. For certified pre-owned SUVs, visit our Quirk Motor City used vehicle centers in Augusta, Bangor, Belfast, Portland, and Rockland. It's your SUV. Find it at Quirk statewide.
UCLA.
My goodness!
Takes on Washington.
Touchdown, Huskies!
Fox College Football Friday kicks off at 9 Eastern.
Hello, I'm Emma Smith, and coming up on Good Morning Maine, we'll hear what services will be provided to homeless individuals staying at Camp Hope, which is planned to be cleared of occupants by the end of next month. Plus, we'll hear about a new, less invasive treatment in Maine for some forms of skin cancer, coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Students across Maine pitched their ideas for a business in Portland and took home some cash prizes. The third annual Maine Startup Challenge took place yesterday in Portland. Students as young as kindergarten all the way up to adult Mainers took part and pitched their ideas. A panel of judges looked at the problem each pitch is solving, the value to the customer, the scalability and feasibility of each idea, and the impact on the community.
Our hope is that if these young kids solve, maybe silly problems today, that they'll apply those same skills when they're in college and when they're adults, and that they'll start businesses that become big businesses and that drive Maine's economy into the future.
Well, there were 156 applicants, whittled down to 12 finalists, 3 for each of the 4 categories: K through 8, high school, college, and adult. Prizes ranged from $500 all the way up to $8,000.
Last night, community members rallied outside Bangor City Hall in protest of the city's plans to close Bangor's largest homeless encampment by the end of the year. Today, Grace Blanchard followed up with city officials and local advocates to discuss what lies ahead of the closure.
I don't think that anything any of us could sit here and say is going to change you guys' mind.
Following protests and opposition, Bangor City officials say they cannot delay the closure of the homeless encampment behind the Hope House due to safety concerns.
We know that there are harms being done in the encampment, and we don't have the mechanisms to protect people the way that they deserve to be protected.
Last month, the city announced they would be closing the encampment, also known as Tent City in Camp Hope, by December 31st.
We have the resources to close this space in a way that is humane, that provides people opportunity and choice, and that's what we're trying to do.
The city's encampment resolution plan has been met with resistance, with many concerned about it being a sweep.
Don't force people from their homes, and these are people's homes, unless you have housing for them.
Ahead of the closure, advocacy groups like Penobscot County Cares are ramping up services and supplies available to people experiencing homelessness in the greater Bangor area.
We hope that the city will postpone that deadline so that we can keep moving forward as a collaboration and get all of these people into some sort of housing.
Jones says their outreach team has helped 12 encampment residents into housing since announcing the closure. She also says they are willing to adjust plans if efforts are not proving to be effective. But as of now, the closure date remains in place.
It is not the goal to criminalize homelessness, to create additional barriers for anyone, or to make life harder when all we're trying to do is connect people to needed resources to help them live their best lives.
In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Maranacook High School and Middle School were closed today after what school officials are calling a concerning incident. Details are few as to the exact nature of that incident, but according to the district, they are working with their school resource officer, Deputy Nathan Johnson, and the Kennebec County Sheriff's Office to investigate the matter. The district says anyone with concerns or questions should contact Principal Rick Soroy or Deputy Johnson, and we will have their contact information on our website. That's foxbangor.com.
Well, according to Governor Janet Mills, healthcare workers estimate more than 17,000 Mainers will be diagnosed with non-melanoma skin cancer this year alone. But thanks to one Waterville-based doctor, residents now have a new treatment option. Our Alex Sly has more.
Dr. Gerald Hurdle and his team at Kennebec County Healthcare in Waterville say they're the first in the state of Maine to offer an innovative new treatment for skin cancer. Traditionally, dermatologists use a procedure called Mohs surgery.
Mohs procedure, which is a procedure where you come into the office, you have skin cancer, but you leave cancer-free. We take off the biopsy, we read the stage, and then we sew you up and you're done.
Hurdle says, well, Mohs surgery is effective. It leaves behind a scar and can take up to 5 hours to complete. Patients now have the option to get image-guided superficial radiation therapy, which doctors say takes about 15 minutes and is non-invasive.
So radiation is just like a camera. You sit in front of the camera, you take a picture of it, we circle it, and then we initiate the therapy, and it radiates the skin cancer away without cutting.
Elaine Lister is one of Hurdle's patients who chose SRT after he began offering it in July.
And it's really a wonderful treatment. And if I had to give advice to anybody, do your research, but you'd be very happy that you went with the SRT. I have no regrets. And I'm telling everyone I know that this is the avenue you should pursue.
However, Hurdle says the treatment isn't for everyone.
Basically, if they're coming over an hour, SRT is probably not going to work, because it's 3 visits a week for 6 weeks.
Hurdle has plans to open locations in Bangor, Portland, and Presque Isle within the next year that will have the procedure as an option. SRT is covered by most insurance plans and costs about the same as traditional treatments. In Waterville, I'm Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, coming up on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, President Biden responds to increased attacks on U.S. forces by Iranian proxy groups in the Middle East, with retaliatory strikes in Yemen and Syria.
And across the nation, public health officials are monitoring an increase in whooping cough cases that are affecting small children. Those stories and more local news as the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22 continues.
Lagoons Transportation and Energy, located in Osborne, provides limited propane services to eastern and central Maine, including but not limited to tank recertification, cage accounts, cylinder exchanges, and more. Lagoons also offers Lignetics premium wood pellets available for delivery.
You come alive in the dead of winter and start work early on snow days, because snowed in is not an option. The Kubota Snow lineup of compact tractors, RTVs, and versatile attachments are built to move, plow, blow, and thrive in the winter. So when the snow falls, you can rise to meet it. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months, plus save up to $2,600.
The holidays. And holiday trips. And holiday toys. And holiday bonding. And it all comes together in a Chevrolet.
Find your red tag. Get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups. Or current qualified Chevy lessees can get this Silverado for around $359 a month. Visit your Maine Chevy dealer.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out Half Off Fun from foxbangor.com.
Unwind with a massage. Let me take away the stress of everyday life and allow you to fully relax. I offer Swedish, deep tissue, and prenatal massage. Healing Strength Massage in Bangor is your place for relaxing therapeutic massage.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with half-off fun from foxbangor.com.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Lagoons Transportation and Energy, located in Osborne, provides limited propane services to eastern and central Maine, including but not limited to tank recertification, cage accounts, cylinder exchanges, and more. Lagoons also offers Lignetics premium wood pellets available for delivery.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
President-elect Donald Trump made another key pick for his cabinet in a long-awaited decision. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was selected for Secretary of Health and Human Services. And at an event at Mar-a-Lago, President-elect Trump announced North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum will head the Department of the Interior. Fox's Connor Hansen has reaction.
President-elect Trump continues to assemble his administration with new high-profile cabinet picks. After his own bid for the White House, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. entered Trump's orbit with a pledge to, quote, make America healthy again. While it might be controversial to some, Trump's pick for Health and Human Services Secretary doesn't come as a surprise.
We want you to come up with things and ideas and what you've been talking about for a long time, and I think you're going to do some unbelievable things.
Kennedy says he wants to get rid of unhealthy processed foods, chemicals, and target corruption in the pharmaceutical industry. But the vocal vaccine skeptic also brings some more fringe ideas like removing fluoride from water, and he has spoken about firing hundreds of employees.
We need disruption across the entire federal government. He'll be great at HHS to do that.
Well, all my kids are vaccinated, and I hope he's not going to move against one of the most life-saving technologies in the history of the world.
Also coming on the same night, former Georgia Congressman Doug Collins was picked for Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and Trump chose Todd Blanche, who represented him in his New York criminal trial, as Deputy Attorney General. That comes after the bombshell announcement of Matt Gaetz to lead the Justice Department. Dean John Sauer, who represented Trump in his presidential immunity case, has been named as Solicitor General. All of those picks will still have to be approved by the Senate in January. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
U.S. military is fighting back after terrorist groups aligned with Iran went on the offensive in recent days. Fox's Jennifer Griffin has the latest from the Pentagon.
Since the U.S. election, Iran proxy groups in the Middle East have ramped up attacks on U.S. forces, and the Biden administration has responded with immediate retaliatory strikes in both Syria and Yemen, a more muscular response than we've seen in the past year. Using the F-35C stealth fighter jets for the first time ever in combat, U.S. Central Command carried out strikes on Houthi targets in Yemen on November 9th and 10th, taking out Iranian weapons storage facilities.
We continue to take capabilities off the map for them. So while we continue to see aggression from the Houthis, we continue to take capabilities away.
The F-35Cs took off from the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier. The F-35C is the world's only long-range stealth strike fighter designed and built to take off and land on U.S. Navy aircraft carriers. Undeterred, the Houthis then launched 8 one-way attack drones, 5 anti-ship ballistic missiles, and 4 anti-ship cruise missiles at 2 U.S. guided missile destroyers, the USS Stockdale and the USS Spruance, as they transited the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. The warship successfully engaged and defeated the Houthi attack with no damage to the ship or injuries to U.S. service members. In the past week, Iranian proxy groups carried out 3 separate attacks in Syria. On Sunday, there were 2 separate attacks on the U.S. base known as Green Village in northeast Syria. One attack involved a drone. The second involved indirect rocket fire from 2 rockets.
Within hours, U.S. Central Command conducted airstrikes against 9 targets at 2 locations associated with these attacks. Rockets were then fired at U.S. patrol base al-Shadadi in northeast Syria on Tuesday. At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
Well, years after COVID-19 changed the world, Congress is closing a chapter holding its last hearing on how to prevent another pandemic. Lawmakers and leaders of key agencies weighed in on Thursday. Fox's Connor Hansen again with that story.
The COVID-19 pandemic stands as one of the most devastating crises in our nation's history.
The pandemic claimed millions of lives, but also divided Americans on how the government handled it. On the Hill, lawmakers on a committee formed to prevent another pandemic had their last chance to weigh in and question top officials.
Poor decisions made by federal agencies shattered trust in our public health institutions and left Americans questioning the very leadership that was supposed to protect them.
This Select Subcommittee has spent 2 years fanning the flames of people's mistrust in public health and taking advantage of their fears.
Leaders from the NIH, CDC, and FDA testified about lessons learned, covering issues like drug supply shortages and the importance of having researchers in foreign countries. They also told lawmakers they learned key lessons about quickly producing tests and vaccines.
Plans must be put into place to assess potential interventions for their value to all communities of our nation.
With a new administration taking over in January and promising a dramatic overhaul of federal agencies, Democrats on the committee urged colleagues not to cut funding.
I think that one of the things that we've seen through the course of the pandemic is how stretched that we were, pulling from every corner of the FDA. Funding cuts will result in exacerbation of that.
That committee says it will write up a full report of its findings over the past 2 years. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
While cooler temperatures are setting in across the Northeast, wildfires are still scorching forests across the country. Fox's Chandler Painter has the latest on the desperate fight to extinguish the flames.
Drought conditions continue providing the perfect fuel for several Northeast blazes.
The public is going to see fire.
The situation is creating nightmares for firefighters in New York and New Jersey who are trying to suppress the Jennings Creek wildfire that's burning along the state's borders.
We are in the midst of a record-breaking dry spell.
Over the last several days, the flames have torn through about 5,000 acres across both states. While containment is growing, the bone-dry forests are triggering New Jersey's governor to declare a drought warning statewide.
Every one of us needs to do whatever we can to conserve water. This is not the time to be lighting outdoor fires either.
In New Jersey alone, the State Forest Fire Service has responded to more than 500 fires since early October.
Crews are currently now thoroughly engaged, continuing to reinforce those lines.
The landscape in this region is also creating challenges.
Those slopes right next to Greenwood Lake are super steep. We can't get engines up there.
Meanwhile, Tinder in New York City caught fire in Upper Manhattan Wednesday. Firefighters rushed to Inwood Hill Park, where smoke was spreading towards the George Washington Bridge.
Fighting a third alarm brush fire. Very treacherous conditions for our firefighters.
Officials say water issues made response efforts dangerous.
Obviously, there aren't fire hydrants in the middle of a forest. So we had a draft from the Harlem River.
And there may be no end in sight for this dry spell. Forecasters say much of this region is expected to experience a dry winter as well. In New York, I'm Chandler Painter, Fox News.
Public health officials are tracking a surge of whooping cough cases across the country, impacting mostly small children. Fox's Jonathan Seri reports from Atlanta.
The kids are back in school and the weather is getting colder, which means it's the season for respiratory illnesses. And the latest surge we're seeing is whooping cough, a highly contagious bacterial illness that typically starts with simple cold-like symptoms, but often progresses into intense coughing fits and in some cases difficulty breathing. It's typically spread among young people, and half of all babies that get whooping cough end up in the hospital.
You may not necessarily know that you have whooping cough because it starts off like a regular old cold, runny nose, cough.
The CDC says there have been more than 1,100 confirmed cases in the U.S. so far this year. That's 5 times higher than the same time last year. And doctors say the numbers are expected to climb as we head into the holiday season, as more young people spend time indoors with family.
What happens when you have low levels of a communicable disease is that the community's immunity is low, which can be followed then in the next year by or in a subsequent year by high levels.
But the CDC says these numbers actually signal a return to pre-pandemic levels, and 2024 could be what they call a rebound year following lower than usual transmission during the COVID outbreak. Rates of vaccination against whooping cough have declined significantly since the pandemic, even though the CDC says it's the best way to protect yourself against the disease. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, Ed Hedrickson celebrates his 104th birthday today by giving back to his furry friends.
And in sports, Lawrence football is vying for their third straight state championship appearance. We'll be right back.
Sunday's NFL coverage starts with Fox NFL Kickoff at 11.
This is great TV.
Then Fox NFL Sunday at noon. The best NFL pregame shows are only on Fox.
We're lucky to live in Maine. We have a wealth of natural resources, hardworking people, and time for the things that matter. Mechanical Services is all about Maine, with energy efficiency that protects our environment and helps businesses grow. Preventive maintenance and energy solutions that save money. How Maine is that? Mechanical Services. We're everywhere you are in Maine.
Injured in an accident? Are the bills and pain keeping you up at night? Phone lines are open right now to take your call. The law offices of Joe Bornstein is working hard to get their clients all the money they deserve. Find out what your case may really be worth.
So I called Joe, the law offices of Joe Bornstein, and I got way more.
They fight hard for injured Mainers.
Call Joe at 207-CALL-JOE.
Tell the insurance company you mean business.
Protect your vehicle from rusting away with Bell's Automotive Protection. We are the leader in mobile undercoating and rust proofing in Maine. We'll travel right to your driveway using the best and safest products on the market. This is much safer than rubberized coatings that can cause damage later on. We spray all types of vehicles, including commercial fleets. We all know vehicles aren't cheap anymore. Don't let the harsh winter chemicals eat them away. Call us or visit our page for a free quote. 207-659-3805.
Gun Sports and Brewer knows that for fun, exercise, and meeting new friends, nothing is better than ice skating. Whether it's sailing down the ice, making a great pass, and scoring in a game of hockey, or the grace, strength, and expression of figure skating. From the youngest child all the way to adulthood, anyone can enjoy the fun of skating. At Gun Sports, we supply the equipment for your skating fun for great prices, the proper fit, and service after the sale. Shop your locally owned Gun Sports Shop, Greenpoint Road in Brewer.
Your favorite restaurants for half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Little Miss Davis Sweets and Treats, a home-based business that specializes in homemade baked goods. Everything I bake is made to order. I specialize in baking homemade fudge, brownies, cupcakes, giant cookies, and large gingerbread men.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
A dock worker union leaves contract talks with port employers without a potential deal. The International Longshoremen Association, which represents 45,000 workers at East Coast and Gulf Coast ports, says the two sides still do not agree on the use of automation. Employers say automation is needed to keep the U.S. competitive, but the union claims it will kill jobs for its members. The union ended a 3-day strike in October after receiving a 62% wage hike over 6 years. A new deal will be needed to be reached by January 15th to prevent a second dock worker strike, which could cause major disruptions to the country's economy.
Well, Ben & Jerry's is suing its parent company, Unilever, claiming it's silencing attempts at expressing support for Palestinian refugees. The ice cream company says it has tried to publicly speak out in support of peace and human rights on 4 different occasions, but was silenced each time by Unilever. The lawsuit includes attempts by Ben & Jerry's to call for a ceasefire in Gaza, support Palestinian refugees, back pro-Palestinian protests, and advocate for a pause in U.S. aid to the Israeli military, all which were blocked by Unilever. The suit also claims the company tried to dismantle Ben & Jerry's board and sue members over the conflict. This isn't the first time Ben & Jerry's and its parent company have butted heads. A previous lawsuit over Ben & Jerry's products sold in Israel was settled in 2022. Unilever responded to the newest lawsuit in a statement to Reuters by writing, quote, "Our heart goes out to all victims of the tragic events in the Middle East. We reject the claims made by B&J's Social Mission Board, and we will defend our case very strongly," end quote.
Well, the number of illnesses from a bacteria outbreak at some McDonald's breaks the century mark. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the number of illnesses jumped from 14 to 104 since cases were first reported in connection to an E. coli outbreak from McDonald's Quarter Pounders. The agency says 34 people have been sent to the hospital, while 4 people developed kidney issues and 1 person died. 14 states were impacted by the outbreak. The fast food chain says the outbreak was linked to slivered onions from food producer Taylor Farms. Health officials say the outbreak is no longer a food safety concern and Quarter Pounders are back on McDonald's menus.
Well, it is that time of year again. You are probably starting to think about holiday shopping, or some of your purchases may have already been made. But as people scour the internet for deals, scammers might take that as a good opportunity to try and take advantage of you.
If it's too good to be true, it's probably a scam. Again, don't click on the link on social media. Do a little bit of due diligence offline or on a different site to verify that they're actually a legitimate reseller.
Experts say to help protect yourself, always verify websites and deals, avoid unsolicited emails and texts, and don't click on links you did not request. Also, when it comes to gift cards, make sure that you buy them from a legitimate business and not a third-party source.
All right, well, Jeff Weller is in next with your full 5-day forecast.
Here we go. Some freezing rain, sleet, and some snow is on the way for us for tomorrow morning, just for a couple hours before 11 o'clock or so. Then warming temperatures and just rain throughout the day. I'll have all the details for you coming up.
Tired of waiting for the power company to restore your power? Call Ideal Energy Solutions. Let Ideal Energy Solutions install a Generac automatic standby generator and bring the power back instantly. Don't settle for less than ideal. Go with Ideal Energy Solutions. Call today.
ABC7 and Fox 22 proudly broadcast live from the Anna Shriner's Festival of Trees on November 20th, a beautiful holiday live event which is brought to you locally by Ideal Recycling in Carmel, a family-owned and operated scrap metal yard. Steaks and Stuff in Lincoln is your local full-service Surefine supermarket. And top-notch detailing in Herman. Give us a call to learn more about our fantastic specials, 232-2933.
Ye Old General, located in Carmel, has everything you could ever need. Whether it be kerosene, regular or ethanol-free gasoline, wood pellets, a fresh-cooked pizza, or fried food, they've got you covered. Looking to get a stiff drink after work? Ye Old General is an agency liquor store with a great selection of alcohol. Ye Old General can help with your next home project, carrying carpentry supplies from hammers and nails to specialty nuts and bolts. They have what you need to get the job done. Stop by Ye Old General today. If you don't think they'll have it, they probably do.
With the almost unavoidable political ads in an already hectic world, the kitchen people at Atlantic Designs would like to offer you this moment of zen. Your dream kitchen awaits with the kitchen people at Atlantic Designs.
If you're looking to make the switch to heat pumps for your home or office, call Ideal Energy Solutions. Ideal Energy Solutions is ready to help you save energy with a new heat pump today. Don't settle for less than ideal. Go with Ideal Energy Solutions. Call today.
They're dudes.
Golf sucks, I'm done.
Being dudes.
Oh, that is not whipped cream.
Universal Basic Guys, all new Sundays on Fox.
Here we go. Your full weather is brought to you by Refine, your local expert in window and door installation, carpentry repairs, and commercial facilities management. Let's talk weather and start here because this is a winter weather advisory in blue. Kicks in overnight tonight, lingers through about 11 o'clock tomorrow for a wintry precipitation mix coming our way. That's some freezing rain, some sleet, and a little bit of snow. Needless to say, it's going to get a little messy around here for a couple hours tomorrow morning. If you're out driving around, be careful. A little ice, of course, goes a long way. All right. Temperatures today, 43 here in Bangor, 41 Millinocket, so above average today, but lows tonight down way below freezing, and that's going to give us that cold ground temperatures overnight and setting the stage for some ice tomorrow morning. The winds today were a factor out of the north around 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting near 20. We're going to keep these going actually tonight and throughout the day tomorrow. Kind of a windy stretch of weather on the way through Friday into Saturday as well. Wind gusts out of the north, pretty much around 10 to 20 miles per hour. This is giving us feel-like temperatures in the 20s today here in Millinocket, also in Bangor and Bar Harbor. So overall, kind of a cool feel to the day across our regions. But somewhat warmer temperatures are on the way for now. In fact, there are a couple of 50-degree temperatures in our 5-day forecast. All right, today, though, lots of clear skies for a while, but things are beginning to close in on us now. There's two systems out here. One, this low is moving this way, and this low is moving this way. They'll converge over our area tomorrow as the wind picks up tomorrow morning, and that's likely going to start as some rain showers across our area, but with ground temperatures below freezing, that could freeze on contact. It's going to be kind of a mess for a couple hours tomorrow morning before this all changes over to rain, probably about 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning before it all kind of pulls out of here. The rain is not going to be a lot, maybe a 1/10 of an inch of rainfall, but again, a little ice goes a long way, and we could use the rainfall, of course, as you know. Here's a drought monitor, comes every Thursday. Again, most of the country now under drought conditions, including our area as well. Levels 1 and 2 across our region, and there's not a lot of rain in our forecast anytime soon. There is, though, a little bit of ice, so there could be many mailboxes tomorrow looking like this. That little glaze on it could give you scenes like this, right? It doesn't take much ice at all to fall on. So again, not much snow with this system, but there'll be a glaze of ice on some areas tomorrow morning, making things very slippery for a couple hours tomorrow morning. Our forecast then tonight, though, is partly cloudy skies or increasing clouds out there, still a bit breezy. Look for low temperatures down near 25. For tomorrow, all right, that wintry mix early, changing over to all rain. Look for high temperatures near 40 or so with that gusty north wind. Then looking ahead, your 5-day forecast shows that wintry mix tomorrow morning, changing over to all rain. Saturday, mostly cloudy, 48. Sunday, 51, lots of sunshine. Monday, 48, and then back in the 50s for Tuesday afternoon.
Alrighty, Jeff, thank you so much. Sports is next.
Stay with
Does your dream kitchen look like this? Or this? Or maybe you need a little more inspiration. Get it when you explore the complete in-store showroom displays at Hammond Lumber Company. When you find the look you like, the Hammond team will help you customize it, including accurate 3D renderings, so you can visualize your project before the work begins. Hammond offers delivery from any of the locations across Maine and New Hampshire and professional service after the sale. Your dream kitchen begins when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
Now's the time to get a great deal on the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. Professional-grade mowers, durable Sidekick utility vehicles, and versatile compact tractors. It's the equipment you need to take care of your land. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months, plus save up to $300.
Available at Doors Equipment, 1468 Outer Hammond Street, Bangor.
Don't get cold feet this winter. Stay warm and dry with high-performance footwear from Comfort Shoes and More. With an extensive selection of winter boots rated from 0 to -60 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll find comfort in knowing your feet will be warm in any weather. Discover the latest in functional and fashionable footwear with grippers built right into the sole. With boots in stock up to 6E and size 17 for men and women. Take the drive to Newport for a sit and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
Start Saturday strong with Heisman hopeful Travis Hunter in his historic season. Big noon Saturday. To the end zone. Touchdown, Colorado! The dual threat leads Colorado against Utah. Caught! Whoa! Big noon Saturday
Tonight's sports is brought to you by Hamlin's Marine, located in Hamden and Waterville, celebrating 40 years, serving all of eastern and central Maine.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. It's regional finals time for Maine high school football, and the Lawrence Bulldogs are looking to avenge their regular season loss to Falmouth and return to the state championship. Our Jack Webb has the story.
We have an amazing history in football, and we'd love to be able to carry that on.
When you think about tradition in Maine high school football, Lawrence High is one of the first schools you think of. They built on that tradition last season, making it all the way to the state championship before falling short to Kennebunk. Now, they're just one game away from returning to the big stage.
It's been fun. It wasn't quite like last year. We had our struggles, and we had to overcome a bunch of things, but we stayed together as a group and worked through it and made it back to the regional championship.
The only thing that stands in their way is Falmouth, who beat the Bulldogs 48-3 in the regular season.
We got to stay composed. You know, they haven't lost a game. They're going to probably come in cocky because they beat us 49, I don't know, it was 48-3 something. We got to stay focused and not let our heads get to us, I guess.
It's been almost a month since that first game against the Navigators, which has given the Bulldogs some time to recalibrate coming into this one on a 3-game win streak.
We've done a lot of work all around on offense and defense to prepare us for this game, because we knew we were going to play them again. We weren't going to back down from another fight, so we're just going to keep fighting until we got to this game.
It will be a fight on Friday night, and the Bulldogs' best punch is their run game, led by Colton Carter and Preston Roy.
We just got athletic players ready to run the ball, you know. We've been doing it for a while. We're good at it.
You know, we just come out here and we work hard. I mean, we work our butts off every day in practice, so I feel like that's a pretty big key to success.
Another key is the tight-knit bond this Lawrence team shares.
You know, just kind of staying close and getting together and having fun, mostly. You got to have fun instead of just playing football.
Yeah, who smells the worst here in this group?
Probably Jeremy Thompson.
No way.
Number 78.
Get out of here.
The B North Final kicks off at 6 p.m. on Friday night at Coney High School. Reporting from Oakland, Jack Webb, ABC 7, Fox 22 Sports.
Thanks for that, Jack, asking the hard hitters there, wishing them luck on Friday. Let's go over to the ice now. On Friday, Maine men's hockey opens up a weekend series. They are back at the Alfond, hosting the Boston University Terriers. Maine comes in as the 7th-ranked team in the nation. BU is the 11th. The Black Bears are looking to get back in the win column after their first 2 losses of the season, both coming last weekend at 2nd-ranked Boston College. BU, on the other hand, recently split with UMass Lowell, and before that, they were swept at the hands of Michigan, also a top 5 team. So both teams could use a win, and Maine knows it's going to be a battle, as it always is.
Yeah, it's going to be a very similar weekend to last weekend. You know, like, you can't give highly skilled teams good looks. You can't give them free offense. And they're going to create on their own regardless, because they got good players, just like we do. And you know, but you got to take care of the puck when you have it.
BU's amazing program. We got some really good players. I think we got to play heavy. You know, we got to play our identity, Black Bear hockey, our style. Be great on the forecheck. Be great tight in the D zone. Don't give their skilled players time to make plays. You know.
Both those games 7 p.m. Friday and Saturday. Moving on to the football field now, the Patriots will look to win 2 games in a row for the first time this season when they host the Los Angeles Rams this Sunday at 1 p.m. Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Puka Nacua will come to town and spell a huge challenge for New England's defense, but that defense just shined last week, allowing only 3 points to Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. The Pats' offense has been improving week by week ever since Drake May took over at the quarterback position, and we've seen New England respond to losses this year, but right now they're focused on turning the page after a win and trying to string some victories together for the first time.
You know, I'm going to continue to stress to the players, to the team, to the coaches. It's, you know, having a sense of urgency and really, you know, learning how to win. We haven't had a back-to-back win this year. And so, look, we've lost multiple games in a row, so we know that side of it. Now we've got to figure out how to turn the page after a win and get a victory.
Moving on now, there's a new professional sports team coming to Maine, the Portland Hearts of Pine Soccer Club. They'll become Maine's first pro soccer team when they begin play next spring. On Thursday, the Hearts of Pine naming Bobby Murphy as their inaugural head coach and sporting director. Murphy has over 25 years of coaching experience. He was the head coach at the University of Southern Maine back in 1999. He most recently coached an MLS squad in St. Louis. He's excited to be back in Maine and get to work building his team.
We want to mirror this community, right? We want people who are hardworking, who are put others first. If we sign players who all will want their own things, but they're willing to give and give and give for the name on the front of the shirt, then eventually they'll sing the name of the guy on the back of the shirt. And so that's what we're after.
All right, that is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Family owned and operating in the Bangor area for more than 10 years. Crosby's Welding is here to help you. We specialize in steel, stainless steel, and aluminum welding and fabrication. We serve many of the local industries from Maine lobstermen to the commercial trucking industry and everything in between. Fully mobile on-site construction services right down to custom signs and fire pits. Fast, friendly, reliable service. Give us a call today for a free estimate, 974-7815.
At WKIT in the 90s, things were a little different. Now we take the rock very seriously. Still clowning around decades later, 100.3 WKIT, WKIT HD, Brewer, Bangor.
Rowell's Garage has been serving customers in the greater Dover-Foxcroft region since 1946. Our goal is not just selling you a vehicle, but also giving you quality service to maintain your vehicle at peak performance. Browse our inventory online or in person. Whether it's a car, truck, or SUV, we can put you in the vehicle that is right for you. Sales, service, and parts. Rowell's Garage, doing business the right way every day.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out Half Off Fun from foxbangor.com.
Unwind with a massage. Let me take away the stress of everyday life and allow you to fully relax. I offer Swedish, deep tissue, and prenatal massage. Healing Strength Massage in Bangor is your place for relaxing therapeutic massage.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with Half Off Fun from foxbangor.com.
Let your creativity run free at the Creative Arts Center, where we offer fun and affordable activities for all ages. Birthday parties, pottery wheel classes, painting lessons, or just for the fun of it. Get fired up for glazing projects as well as acrylics. We offer a wide selection of ceramic products for you to choose from, and we have thousands of pieces ready to paint. We are a Paragon kiln dealer and a Laguna Clay distributor. Stop by the Creative Arts Center today, located just off the Joshua Chamberlain Bridge in Brewer. The Creative Arts Center, where your only limitation is your imagination.
Start your day with Good Morning Maine. Weekday mornings starting at 6 on Fox 22.
Welcome back. The next star to take the title of People's Sexiest Man Alive, plus Yacht Rock and more, are in today's First Looks. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has all this and more in today's Hollywood Nation.
A Yacht Rock doc, Rami's spy thriller, and People's Sexiest Man Alive are in the Hollywood Nation.
John and Emily!
John Krasinski of The Office, Jack Ryan, A Quiet Place, and many more has added People's 2024 Sexiest Man Alive to his list of accolades. The mag says his wife Emily Blunt joked she would wallpaper their house with the cover if he got the title. The issue is on newsstands Friday.
It's the CIA. I gotta trust that they'll make the right call.
In today's First Looks is the trailer for The Amateur, starring Rami Malek and Lawrence Fishburne. The spy thriller is about a CIA decoder whose wife is killed in a London terrorist attack. And when his supervisors don't take action, he takes matters into his own hands to track down those responsible. It's in theaters April 11th, 2025.
Good morning, Vegas!
Netflix shared a look at season 9 of Queer Eye. The Fab Five, with new member interior designer Jeremiah Brent, go to Las Vegas to meet a new group ready for life-changing makeovers. It premieres on the streamer December 11th.
It's perfect sitting down dancing music.
Also known as Yacht Rock.
Plus, a trailer was released for HBO's music box, Yacht Rock, a documentary. From director Garrett Price, the film follows the emergence and popularity of the soft rock pop culture, with artists telling the stories of their musical journeys. The doc debuts November 29th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
While doctors prescribe medications to help people, the drugs they dole out might be less effective if you're one of the many people doing this with your meds. Fox's Chandler Painter takes a closer look at how you can ensure that your pills remain stable and how to keep them safe from others.
While a variety of prescription drugs help many people with their mental and physical health, pharmacists say there's common mistakes folks can make with their medicines that could impact their efficiency.
Oftentimes when I ask folks, where do you store your medications? They say, well, of course, the medication cabinet or the medicine cabinet. And my next question is, I bet it's in your bathroom, isn't it?
Most of the time, the reply is yes. It's concerning some medical experts who warn the humidity from showers and sinks can compromise the chemical composition of the drugs.
It could be humid some days, it could be cooler other days, and that's not a stable temperature to store your medications.
While storing medications in kitchen cabinets or in bedroom nightstands may be more temperature stable,
sometimes keeping medications in accessible spaces like your bedside may make it prone to having kids or pets get into those medications.
Child locks could help ensure safety.
It's hard to open, isn't it?
But what should someone do if they miss taking a dose? Pharmacists say most medicines come with info sheets with advice based on the drug you're taking. If you have doubts, call the pharmacy you got the meds from.
Sometimes that is to just wait until the next dose. Other times, if it's within a certain window, they're able to still take that dose. What I warn individuals about is probably don't double up on a dose unless it says so explicitly in the instructions.
If you take a lot of pills, organizing them in a way that works best for you can help ensure you don't forget to take them. I'm Chandler Painter, Fox News.
Well, earlier this week, we told you about Ed Hendrickson, who would be celebrating his 104th birthday. Well, today was the big day, and it did not disappoint. The World War II veteran had his birthday bash at the Winterberry Heights Senior Living Community in Bangor. Ed says the secret to a long, fruitful life is to stay positive, no matter what.
Got to be happy all the time. If you have a little problem, just smile it off. It'll go away. That's about the best advice I can give.
Solid advice there. Well, Ed asked people to donate to the Bangor Humane Society or to his Ed for Pets fundraiser on Facebook in honor of his big day. And at the time of this broadcast, the Ed for Pets fundraiser is sitting at it's just over $3,000. The goal was $6,000. So let's keep pushing that total upwards.
Yeah, it says it will be up there for a few more days, so
Yes.
there's still time if you didn't get to donate. So, you know, throw a couple bucks that way for Ed's for Pets. Just some great advice from him, too.
Belated birthday gift for Ed.
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll be happy, even if it's a couple days late. I
Yeah.
don't think he'll be too worried.
No, he doesn't seem like a fussy guy.
Yeah, I think he'll just smile it off.
He'll just smile it off, yeah. Taking Ed's advice already. All right, well, that's going to do it for us, folks. From everybody here at Fox 22 News, take care and good night.
We'll see you later.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC7, right now for ABC7 News at 11.
People ask me all the time, are those commercials really true? Does Lowry & Associates really...
Yasuda. You're welcome back. Your surgery, it went well. You're gonna be okay. Chloe. Chloe. No. 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 Oh, no. Even after you're gone.
Kimmel's got Ted Danson, Mikey Madison, plus music from Blast and Anderson .Paak tonight.
Wish there was something we could do for her.
Bring her sister back from the dead.
We have an expected high of 108.
He's burning up.
Lord help us.
We need ice. There's a convenience store over on Piney.
Get down, get down.
Open the register. Nobody moves unless you want to die.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.
Today marked day